the effects of pornography on your brain, it's very almost underestimated in a sense that pornography not only, lowers your self-esteem, you know, lowers your ability to like connect with actual women in real life. It suppresses your desire to go fuck real women because you're just fapping off to these OnlyFans models. One thing that's very underestimated, in my opinion, is the effects it has on your brain. That pornography has on your brain. The damage it does to your brain, which is scientific. This is not a lot of, some people will say, I jerk off, I watch porn, and it doesn't affect me. But, and it has different effects to certain people. You know, for me, I know when I was younger, when I was first getting into porn and stuff, I was very harsh on myself because I was strictly religious back then. And so, you know, we believe that as Christians, that when you masturbate, you are committing a mortal sin, which is basically a terrible sin. And so, yeah, it was devastating for me when I was younger. Nowadays, I don't see it that much the same way as I used to. It's more of a just, oh, I did it. Okay, gonna try not to do it again. It's more of a productive mindset. But so it has different effects on different people. But one thing that is scientific and proven is the damage it has on your brain. And this is actually true. I don't know what the study is, but I read the study that if you watch too much porn, or if you overindulge in anything that releases dopamine, so anything that's pleasurable, drugs, sex, pornography, even junk food, anything like that, anything that's pleasurable, if you keep doing it over and over again, that's going to damage your dopamine receptors, which is basically these receptors in your brain are the things that control the dopamine and release it out in the way that it's supposed to be released. So when you have sex, the dopamine goes to the dopamine receptors and then it releases it out. And it releases it out to make it feel good and to make you want to get it again. What happens when you overindulge in a pleasurable act is that these dopamine receptors, they fry up or they burn out. So think of it as a person at work who is overloaded with a bunch of tasks. They're not going to be able to do their job right. Same thing with like if you're putting like these contents into a machine and you put too much in at one time, it's just going to break. And that's what happens when you have too much dopamine over and over again. It's that the dopamine receptors, the things taking the dopamine and releasing it out, they just stop working. They're like, I'm not going to do this. It's too much. It's too much dopamine. I can't do this. So the dopamine receptors actually start failing, which means if you do it enough, your dopamine receptors are fried, and then you don't even feel good anymore because the dopamine is not released in the way it's supposed to be released. And I'm sure you can attest to this. Think of the last time you wanked off too much or you watched porn constantly, or any feel-good activity you've done and you maybe overindulged in. Up to a certain point, you just don't feel good anymore. You eat chocolate for every day after every meal. You eat a Hershey's bar after every meal. Okay? Do that for 1 day. I bet that tastes good. Do that for 2 days. It still probably tastes good. Do that for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. You constantly do it. You're going to notice that you don't get that pleasure that you used to get from the chocolate bar because your dopamine receptors stop working. And again, I don't remember the study. I don't remember the science behind it. But it is a fact in that dopamine receptors stop working if you overindulge in a pleasurable act. So that's one serious damage that porn does to your brain, and that is scientific. No one can argue.